So, um, a little while back, here's the kind of the whatever, the confession part of the thing. A little while back, I got asked to do one of these talks on the West Coast for this conference called TED, which is very prestigious, and I love downloading their video podcasts and watching scientists and different people do their talks, and they're all very short. I think they're under 20 minutes, so I'm not qualified yet. I was, of course, very, very excited, and I'm still very nervous about the whole thing. So in a certain kind of way, this is kind of a, rehearsal for that. Of course, if everybody goes, you're full of shit, then I may just call them up and go, maybe we should not do this. Yeah. So, I think that's it for the introduction stuff. So what I'm going to talk about is an insight that I had a while back, sort of dawned on me, that a lot of the things that we create, and I'm going to talk about music, are determined by the context that they end up in. It's not such an original idea. I think I've heard it before. But it does seem to be sort of backwards. It implies that creativity happens in a kind of backwards than what a lot of people, as I understand it, perceive that creativity happens. A lot of people, I think, perceive that creativity happens as like you have this emotion that you want to get off your chest, that is just something has happened to you, something bad has happened, something good has happened, and boom, it just kind of explodes out of you in some form, whatever form it wants to take. I'm saying no, the form comes first, and then you kind of fill the vessel of the form with, eventually with whatever is going on in your life. A little while back, I read a quote that quoted some lyrics from the band One Republic, a band that, well, I think I might have heard one of the earlier songs, but I didn't hear this one. The lyric goes, "I need another story, something to get off my chest. When a situation rises, just write it into an album. Not only does it not rhyme, but I think it's based on a mistaken assumption that the album comes from something you get off your chest. I think, no, the form, the song, not only the songs, but the sound, the technical sound of the songs is determined by a large part by the places that they're performed. So I'm going to use music. Yeah, I'm going to use music as an example. Although I think it applies to art, white walls and galleries and museums, and it probably applies to software and lots of other things. But I'm not going to go to all that. I'm going to start with. Okay, this room, this is CBGB's viewed from the stage, what it used to look like. Let's see if the audio thing works. Yeah, we got audio working. So, this is Talking Heads live at CBGB's. And it was like a lot of places, well, like this place, it's not that big. There's a lot of there's people in it. There's a lot of furniture and whatnot to deaden the sound. And of course it was a pretty decent PA, surprisingly, which meant that you could write stuff and expect to be heard. You could write pretty detailed music that was the interplay between the instruments could be heard, the lyrics could be heard, the rhythms wouldn't get all kind of mushed together in a wash, as they might in some other kind of place. So I think that we wrote the kind of things we wrote, and other people as well, because it was going to be in those kind of places. This is another similar kind of place. This is Tootsie's Orchid Lounge in Nashville. It's out the back door of the Grand Ole Opry, and then George Jones, I think, knew exactly how many steps it was from the back door of Grand Ole Opry to Tootsie's. It's about the same size as CBGB's, and the client behavior is about the same, which affected the music as well. You had to, when the public is falling down or yelling or talking or dancing or doing all that kind of stuff or gossiping, whatever they're doing, you got to be able to play loud enough, make music, write music, and perform music that is just a little bit above, volume-wise, above that. Not that you're going to have much trouble getting above the volume of this woman. So so that got me thinking about that kind of stuff. Tootsies and CBGBs got me thinking about the whole thing, and so I kind of thought, well, let's see. Here's musicians in West Africa. It's working. They make music that sounds, not always, but sometimes like this. They play often outdoors. It's not like they're playing in auditoriums. And the instruments they play, the way they play, intricate rhythms are layered and interwoven, is the instruments work really well outdoors. They can be heard outdoors. The music they make is kind of, as you might say, steady state, so that there's not like super quiet passages where all of a sudden everybody goes, what's he doing now? It's kind of, the volume stays more or less constant. Some people might say, well, they make this music because that's the kind of stuff they could find around to bang on. And I would say no, that's kind of really underrating what they did. They could have made lots of different kinds of instruments, and they have in the past in West Africa. And this happens to be one kind of instrument that's used, and it works really well. It's perfect for this situation. They could have used lots of other materials at hand to make other instruments, but this is what works really well in this situation. It wouldn't work in this situation. This is a medieval cathedral. And, well, most of you probably know that African drumming in a medieval cathedral, or, or a rock band or a funk band or whatever, would kind of turn into sonic mush. But, oh yeah, this kind of stuff works really well. So I'm saying that this is Thomas Tallis, one of the medieval guys. I would say that this kind of stuff was written not out of some emotional expression to make, although there was a lot of feeling in it, but the form wasn't part of the emotion. That form was made because it sounded good in this cathedral. This is the church that Bach began writing in, started playing the organ up there. He worked in other ones later. It's not as big as the cathedral. I guess it's a Lutheran church. So they weren't quite as, they were kind of spin-off, didn't have the big cathedrals yet. But the stuff he was writing, again, it's not quite as droney as the kind of medieval stuff. But again, it's not incredibly percussive, and it doesn't get hurt by being in a super echoey place. In fact, both of those kinds of music are really helped in some ways by being in a super echoey, reverby room.